All of you, and I want to make that a very heartfelt thank you to Dr. Rahman because while he's very generous, you're very generous in thanking us. It is really we who owe the thanks to you for showing us the opportunity, showing us how to serve the community which wants to participate in REBA free financing for home ownership. I would also like to congratulate Colette. I won't ask her to stand again, but she's here based here in Pasadena and has just worked tirelessly to educate our institution along with Dr. Rahman about how to increase the availability of financing for home ownership. And I would also like to thank and congratulate my colleagues, my competitors at Freddie Mac. As you would read on the brochure from American Finance House, Freddie Mac was the first of the two of us to approve American Finance House to be a single-family mortgage, what we call seller servicer, to sell home mortgage loans. And as Dr. Rahman said, Freddie Mac is a younger institution than Fannie Mae. We compete vigorously. We are competitors in the secondary mortgage market for the purchase of home mortgages. We are working on other initiatives, and we hope that eventually the wisdom of age that we at Fannie Mae have may exceed the speed of youth, which Freddie Mac exhibited in the seller servicer approval for American Finance House. But obviously it is the competition between our two companies that serves consumers the best. Now, American Finance House and our ability to serve this community is very important to us at Fannie Mae. As Dr. Rahman said, we are a congressionally chartered private company. We were created by a law of the United States government. We were initially formed in 1938. We became a private company in 1968, but part and parcel of why we exist is because we have an obligation to increase home ownership, to provide financing for affordable home ownership in every community across the United States of America, regardless of economic circumstances, regardless of what circumstances may exist in a particular community. We do that by purchasing mortgages from mortgage lenders so that they always have a supply of money to be able to lend to the next homeowner. We buy the mortgage, the paper, the legalities that surround it, and that replenishes the lender's ability to return and to more consumers and increase home ownership. Now, another observation I'd like to make is that we in our business like to say that home ownership is the American dream, and that becoming a homeowner represents a fulfillment of the American dream. We like to say we're in the American dream business, but I think that even more basic, and what's very important to keep in mind, that for us at Fannie Mae to keep in mind, is that the basic reason for the founding of this country was freedom of expression, freedom of religious expression, ability for people to practice their faith as they wanted to. And these two aspects of the American dream, the freedom of expression and the opportunity to become a homeowner, shouldn't be mutually exclusive. And we're under no illusions as to what trumps what. Faith, of course, is the most important thing for so many people. But as practiced by the United States mortgage finance system, of which we and Freddie Mac are keystones, effectively we were forcing that choice on practitioners of Sharia. And what American Finance House has shown us is how to resolve that in the favor of us being able to fulfill that fundamental responsibility that we have of increasing home ownership. Now, we've also made very public commitments at Fannie Mae as to how we're going to fulfill those obligations and those responsibilities which we've been given. We have announced what we call the American Dream Commitment, which is our promise to invest at least $2 trillion over the first decade of this new century to targeted households, to underserved households in the United States. And a basic reason for our doing that is to close the gaps in home ownership which exist between the majority community in this country and minority communities in this country. The white majority home ownership rate in the United States is close to 75% right now. The minority home ownership rate is less than 50%. And I would venture a guess that for people who are strict practitioners of Sharia, it's even less, because the number of alternatives for mortgage financing historically has been much more limited because we didn't participate. We did not provide capital for that community. So it's our mission, it's our obligation and our responsibility to find a way to serve these consumers. And it's also our business model, because frankly, it's where the business growth is going to come in the future in the American mortgage finance business. It's not going to come from the group of people of whom 75% are already homeowners. It's going to come from the community, which is growing very rapidly in this country, which right now has a less than 50% homeownership rate. Now, the particular elements of the American Dream Commitment are to serve 18 million targeted households, to lead the market in serving minorities, and lead the market not only in terms of dollars invested and number of families served, but also in terms of the percentage of our business, which is going to serve minority families, and to invest a total of $700 billion to serve 4.6 million minority families. But it's very clear to us that we won't get there. We won't reach these very aggressive goals. And these are large numbers, or I understand. These are numbers which they make my eyes glaze over. I can't really count that high. And sometimes I think maybe we added 1 or 2 zeros to the end of a number and came up with some crazy number that way. But we use numbers like that because that's the responsibility we've been given in the American mortgage finance system. We're not under an illusion that it's because of anything other than the fact that we've been given the responsibility that we have. And we know we won't get there in terms of closing home ownership gaps, in terms of serving households whom our system has previously not served, by asking people to conform their practices to the way we do business. That would be, that hasn't worked. If it had worked, we wouldn't be in the situation, we wouldn't have the opportunity, I should say, we wouldn't have the opportunity that lies before us. We have to listen, and we have to conform the way in which we do business to the practices of the communities that we need to reach out to and serve. Those people whom we have an obligation to serve, but whom previously we have not. And of course, as I said, when we talk about things like religious expression, that is far more fundamental to many people than home ownership is. So for us to serve that community, we have to figure out how to conform our practices again. And that requires that we be humble and listen to people whom previously we have not listened to. And I'm also fond of saying that just because we're very large doesn't mean we're nimble. And I think that our work in this area is an indication of that. We need to be taught. We're not going to think of it on our own, and we need leaders to show us how to reach this business, how to do this business, and Dr. Rahman is really a tremendous leader in that regard. He is not only a visionary, but he is someone who knows how to get the business done as well, and he's taught us how to serve this group of Americans, which is as desirous of the American dream as anyone in this country, and it's really changed our thinking about how we can serve more people in the country. And I think that reaching out to communities which, for whom faith is a central organizing element in their lives, is a very important element of how we can reach our goals. And we've been very deliberate about making faith-based initiatives a central part of how we will reach the very aggressive goals we have set for ourselves under the American Dream Commitment. We have the partnership with American Finance House as part of a national media campaign as well as a financing campaign to educate consumers as to what is available to them. And we want to create opportunities by providing information, by getting the word out through the regular media, through our ability to get the word out as Fannie Mae, that these opportunities exist for Muslim families. And under our agreement with American Finance House, we've agreed to purchase $10 million worth of mortgage loans as a start, and we like deliveries. I'm fond of saying that those kinds of commitments are a floor. They're not a ceiling. They're a let's get started, get $10 million done, and get on our way from there. And we've found a way to do business with American Finance House by redefining the terms of a standard fixed-rate mortgage, and we're a large presence in buying 30-year fixed-rate mortgages, as an ijara contract, a lease purchase agreement. And American Finance House's financing model provides a rent-to-own alternative for families that are interest adverse, that don't want to be in a financing arrangement that requires them to pay interest. And American Finance House is the first lender that is selling loans to Fannie Mae under our effort to reach out to Muslim families and other interest-adverse people. And we think that faith-based organizations are going to play a very strong role in our ability to reach out to the communities we haven't served before. We're working to establish very strong links through the faith-based community. People working through, whether it is through churches or other organizations, there are other faith-based organizations, can reach their congregants in a way that traditional lenders may not be able to. People can invest a lot of authority in their faith-based organization as well, and we realize we need to be working with everyone who has an interest in creating home ownership, and many faith-based organizations fall into that category. So we have set a goal for ourselves of reaching 7 million potential new homeowners through reaching out through faith-based organizations. And what we want to do is create a very broad network of community partners who share our commitment to breaking down the barriers to home ownership and increasing housing opportunities. We're working with these partners to develop the tools and resources to help the faith-based organizations to increase their capacity to do housing and community development and create further home ownership opportunities. And under our initiative, we have partnerships with national faith-based organizations. We are increasing the access to home ownership information and education, and a key element of it is partnering with lenders who can increase access to mortgage financing, such as American Finance House. We are sponsoring and conducting workshops and conferences on faith-based community development. And one of the things we've learned is that faith-based organizations can reach people in a fashion that the government has not previously been able to, much less traditional lenders have not been able to. The home financing model that we have with American Finance House has been designed to comply with Sharia as well as all of the laws and regulations of the United States banking and financial services industry. And under this unique structure, the lease-to-own structure for a home purchase will convert to home ownership once the lease purchase period is over. And the lease purchase period is the same as a typical mortgage term. And I would also like to mention that you may have read about last June, it was in June of 2002, that President Bush announced a national minority home ownership initiative. And as part of our contribution to this effort, because we take this effort very seriously for ourselves as well, we're committed to collaborating with everyone in the mortgage finance industry to knock down barriers to home ownership that exist. And we hope that by removing these barriers, we can make that difference and reach our very aggressive goals, and that the faith that people have should, in particular, as we're talking about this afternoon, should not be an obstacle, but in fact should be a vehicle by reaching out through faith-based organizations to increase home ownership. And there is one last observation I would like to make, which is at our company, at Fannie Mae, diversity is a core value. It is one of the core values of our company. Diversity is something which we talk about a great deal and try to impress upon ourselves as individuals and corporately. And on behalf of Fannie Mae, I would like to thank American Finance House for bringing this dimension of diversity to Fannie Mae and giving us an opportunity to fulfill that value, that diversity that we hold so dear